consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hello, my loves. I am here recording this from the beautiful Rocky Mountains. I'm here in Canmore, Alberta, Canada with my family as I record this episode. And I'm staring out at the Rocky Mountains as I'm sitting on the deck of the cabin we're staying at. I grew at it's Banff Mountain Gate, or Banff Gate Mountain Resorts. I think that's what it's called. And it's these cute little cabins, like so 80s, 90s style. It's kind of fun. And I am just breathing in the fresh mountain air. So this is all energy that's being dropped in to today's episode. So thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to listen to this episode. If you do enjoy it, please do leave a review. Take a screenshot of this podcast and share it out on social media. I'd love for you to tag me. This really does help get this podcast out there in an even bigger way. On social media, Instagram, it's Bold Sexy Warrior. And on Facebook, it's Rosalyn Fung Coaching, Bold Sexy Warrior. Thank you so much, my loves. And actually, today is a bit of an impromptu. I had a guest scheduled, but unfortunately that one fell through due to some personal circumstances. I spontaneously just asked Dan, who is actually not in the same province as me right now. He's on his own self-retreat in British Columbia, which he'll share a little bit more. But we are back with another Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank episode. I am so excited about this. I recently shared a post on the top 13 characteristics of power couples, and I've actually became one of the most popular posts I've had in the last little while, and people, my reels with Dan are just like by far the most visible. And so I'm like, people clearly love our vibe and what we're here as a power couple and how we lead our lives. And I know that we inspire a lot of people. So I thought this would be a perfect episode for us to jam on. Hi, my love. Welcome. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously. You owe me later. I'm just kidding. So hopefully reception is okay right now. So for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time on this podcast or radio show, depending on when you're listening to it, right now as I'm recording live radio, Dan and I are called Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank, and Dan is a certified financial planner. My master's is in marriage and family therapy, and I used to be a registered psychologist. So, and of course, I love talking about money mindset. We love talking about wealth and abundance, consciousness. So together we call ourselves Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank, so that we can inspire couples to
have more. Rosalyn all the credit.
Oh, nope, it's a co-creation, babe.
Sorry about that. I just...
Oh, you're cutting out, babe.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your statement there.
Okay, so yeah, we love to inspire couples, and even those of you who aren't in an intimate relationship yet, we'd love to inspire you to have sacred sexy, soulful conversations about money with yourself as well as with each other, because how you do one part of your life is how you do all parts of your life. And I know both of us being in business, we know that, the success of your business often is impacted by the relationship, your primary intimate relationship. If you're stressed in that, so it can absolutely affect how you go into your business, right? You can be energetically taken out, and we don't want that for you. So that this episode is inspired to help you see how you can step into the be do have when it comes to being a power couple. So my love, why don't you share with us what you're up to right now? Because we decided to vacation separately.
Yeah. So while Rosalyn is breathing in the fresh mountain air, I'm out by the Pacific Ocean, breathing in the fresh ocean air here. I ventured out on my own, took a little detour out through British Columbia, and I'm currently sitting in a beach park overlooking the ocean on Vancouver Island. For those of you who are familiar, the Parksville area, where my parents and sister lived for a long period of time, and it's a beautiful part of the world for sure.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, and we have lots of beautiful memories there, because your parents moved out there and retired out there. And unfortunately, Dan's parents are no longer alive, but we know they are with us in spirit. So, why don't we just start with can you tell I'm on
start
vacation
with some coffee
brain?
How about that? Yeah.
I've got my Thrive on, I swear. That's my multivitamins. Let's start with naming the 13 signs that you're a power couple. So I'll list them, and then Dan and I are going to just start jamming how we started to develop into these areas. We're going to share stories, nothing scripted. Of course, we're going to just let it flow and let whatever needs to come through. And we trust that whatever needs to be coming through, somebody needs to hear. Okay, so here's the 13 signs that 13 characteristics of a power couple. Number 1, and these are in no particular order. And let me also give credit to the source. I got this from lovesuccessfully.com. Okay. So number 1, you feel like your best self in the relationship. We'll talk a little bit more about what all of these mean as well, and what that actually looks like in practice. Number 2, you slay your goals. Number 3, you focus on the things you love about your partner. Number 4, you prioritize each other every day. Number 5, you genuinely feel grateful to have your partner. Number 6, you support each other in your individual pursuits. Number 7, you are healthy mind, body, and spirit. Number 8, your relationship is drama-free. Number 9, you exercise together. Number 10, you speak each other's love language. Number 11, you're best friends. You're my best friend, honey. Number 12, you've got each other's backs. And number 13, you can talk about anything. All right, so I hope that you are tuning in. You know that you can replay this episode. Make sure you save it, because I think it's going to be a really juicy one with lots of golden nuggets. Is there one in particular you want to start with, love? Or you want to just...
I
don't feel like we're going to go over. I have a feeling.
No, I don't think so. But honestly, the one that you kind of mentioned on is, we're each other's best friends. And I truly believe that, because there's so many different components that have to add up in order to be married to your best friend. So, that's the core to it. And, you can have a best friend in different ways. Like I have a best friend who I like to do activities with, right? Biking and that type of thing.
And your best friend is female.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And not that it matters, but I've got a great relationship with a female, and she's my best friend for different types of activities. But my true best friend is definitely my wife.
Aww. Well, actually, I do think, yes, it doesn't matter. And I feel like that's also, I'm sure somebody's listening going, what? Like, WTF? You can have your spouse's best friend is a woman and you don't feel threatened? What? I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
that's where that's where we can touch on the point around drama, right? Um, this is the foundation of a relationship is built on trust and honesty and courageous vulnerability. And it's like if you don't trust your spouse to have a best friend of the opposite sex, then there's something up with that. It's either your own stuff being projected into the relationship, which often that's the case, and it could also be then you're not communicating it together, right? It's a co-creation. So the other piece is I remember one of the things that I when I was working with couples as a therapist, it's like if you are friends with somebody who's of the opposite sex. Now this isn't like a hard and fast rule because Dan doesn't meet all my male friends, and it's ideal to have that the spouse that friend joins the couple and you have like a friendship with them as well, or not necessarily a friendship, but there's some sort of connection as well, right? To neutralize things. Again, this is not a hard and fast rule. It's just something that's suggested. So yeah, let's go back to best friends. How did we develop our friendship? Well, Dan and I have been together, by the way, for 19 years, and August 12th this year, coming up, will be our 15th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
So I know. So it's gonna be pretty freaking. Well, we're gonna. It's also my 40th birthday on August 7th. So I'm like, we should just combine the whole thing. So, we got introduced through a mutual friend. You guys can listen to our previous podcast episodes and tune in to some of the other stories that we probably won't go over here. But it's really important to build that foundation of friendship and get to know each other. I think it's safe to say most of us, when we are really attracted and when we first meet somebody, we can like hop right into that whole piece around the honeymoon stage, which is normal, and the passion and the lust and the the fun stuff, the fun physical stuff, right? And that will fizzle out really quickly if you don't have a foundation, because as time passes, some of that hot passion starts to, it's not going to feel the same as the honeymoon stage.
Yeah, the novelty will dissipate over time, and that's natural in any relationship. That being said, yeah, building the foundation of your relationship in all the other aspects, I think is vital. I think we all know couples who are in a relationship, and it seems like a business arrangement or roommates more so than anything else. And to me, that's bad, right? And sorry, the vehicle's driving out here. So marrying the person who you can see yourself becoming best friends with was something that was vital to me, and I certainly got what I was looking for.
So how did we build our friendship? I think it's number one, we had common interest. At the time when we met, you were running and I had been running, and we ran together. I think it was like our third date that we went for a run. Do you remember that, babe?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that was the first time you farted in front of me too.
Great, you just had to tell the world that. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, well, I am human.
Real life.
Yeah, I think that's one of the signs of a true relationship when you can just be yourself, eh?
Well, that's what happens if you're running, and you just got to release, right? So it's just a release. And I mean, like, we could talk about our first date and how I had like stomach cramps. Oh my God. It was so bad. And I was like, how am I supposed to make out with this guy? And I have like really bad stomach cramps. So I think we were even there. As you guys can tell, do not get embarrassed easily. But honestly, I think that like showed us our comfort level. And it's not like you farted on purpose. Like that would be so rude. But we were running and that happened, right? And I was just like, whatever. Like I didn't let that thing be like the thing that turns me off. Like obviously I was into you so much that wasn't even a factor, right? And we had so much to talk about. Just to become best friends, eventually, was to really get to know each other, be super open, be super vulnerable, and share like about, you know, gradually, obviously, but share about our upbringing, our fears, our dreams, and all of these kind of conversations take courage. They absolutely take courage because there's the risk of disapproval. There's a risk of judgment. There's a risk of like, oh my God, is this person going to think I'm too much? You know, or we might scare them off. And so I think this goes back to you need to take those risks in terms of like, be yourself, be authentic. Because if you're not showing up fully as yourself, I mean, like really, we're farting and we got stomach cramps and, and all the things that we're still showing up fully as ourselves, then you're going to attract the wrong partner. You're going to attract somebody that you're putting yourself in a box in, and you're pretending to be not like someone you're not. And so that partner is going to like that person, and that's not truly you. So be true to you.
Can I relate a cute little story from yesterday?
Yeah, you betcha.
So as I was camping beside this family there, and it was a mom and a son and her boyfriend, I guess. It seemed like a brand new relationship because you know, just hearing the conversation they were having, he was very curious about, you know, their family situation and that type of thing. And you could just feel the engagement he had with her. And it was, he was fully attentive and listening to every single word that she was saying and asking, you know, the important questions, not just, you know, oh, that's nice. You know, he would ask, you know, like the motivation behind certain decisions she would make. And in a joyful way, right? And she was truly appreciating the fact that he was fully into the conversation, right? It was kind of fun to hear them converse about that. That being said, he did let out a couple of belches every once in a while too, so he was fully comfortable with who he was around her too. So.
Well,
because I guess that's what you do when you're camping,
honey.
Right? Yeah.
I love what you just shared because I feel like that doesn't stop. Like even with you and I, right? These are the kind of conversations after 19 years being together. These are the conversations we have. And it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So, and it shouldn't. If you're going to progress in your relationship, you're going to become a power couple. It should expand. All right. So I'm going to get you all, as we go into commercial, to really reflect on our conversations so far and reflect on if you're in a relationship, are these kind of conversations happening? How is the, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your status at with being best friends?
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Life is a flow, and enlightenment is simply harmonizing with the way life really is. Then you find that life is effortless, benevolent, and free of all suffering. Hey everyone, this is GP Walsh, and I want to invite you to my brand new radio show that's launching right here on OMTimes Radio called The Flow of Enlightenment. I've been a spiritual teacher for decades, and my greatest pleasure is being able to share with you these deep and highly practical spiritual ideas. So join me in The Flow every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and let yourself be transformed.
My loves, you know you're here as a soul-led leader to transform this world through the sharing of your passions and gifts. You are here to be in your warrior of light and align your business with your highest self. I'm Rosalyn Fung of the show Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Let's elevate your business to the next expansive level. I invite you to flow into a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalynfung.com. That's ROSALYN, fun as in have some fun, FUNG, and let's see how I can best hold space for you to align your highest self, magnetize your dream clients, and monetize on your soul mission. I can't wait to connect.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Do you feel like your emotions are all over the place? That's normal during this abnormal time. There are a number of ways to cope. Maintain a healthy routine, get enough sleep, eat nutritious food, and exercise at least 30 minutes each day. Schedule some time to talk with a friend or family member. And remember, you can always take a few deep breaths to feel more centered.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
All right, welcome back, my loves. We want to shift into, all of these will really interrelate. Dan was like, hey, let's talk about your relationship being drama-free. So did you want to start on that one, love?
Yeah, exactly. So as you were reading off those 13 rules, I heard the one that the relationship should be drama-free. And I was thinking, well, that's unrealistic. There's always going to be stuff that comes up in a relationship. But then I was thinking, well, what is the definition of drama? If drama is something that causes, strife and anxiety in your relationship, then certainly that is achievable. That being said, you do have to navigate life, and there's always going to be aspects of life that come up. That being said, Rosalyn and I I think we're fantastic at being open and honest and authentic with each other when there is something that comes up between us or around us or among us.
Yeah. So when you say, I love what you're doing is challenging this a bit and being like, well, how, there's always going to be some sort of happening. And life is happening and it's how you approach life. It's how you, drama really happens because of our belief system. So with our limiting beliefs, everything is neutral until you put meaning to it. And how you do that is based on your belief system. And we can go back to that example that Dan's best friend is a female. I could have total mind drama around it and be jealous and make drama around that, whatever that looks like. I can't even think of an example right now because I'm just so not there. I love that your best friend is female and I love Natalie. She's amazing. But, there are times where it's like you're jealous. You feel like you have to compete for your spouse's attention. You worry about them cheating, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever that drama is that you are starting to tell in your mind, and then sometimes it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that then it creates a wedge in your relationship, and your partner's also operating from their inner child too then sometimes, right? And then drama just multiplies. So going back to that foundation of creating safety, this is also why Dan and I know we're a power couple as well, which we didn't really quite define, but there's 5 different stages in relationship. And at the highest, which I believe we are at, and we always cycle through, right? You don't stay there. You can cycle through back to the different stages, and that's normal. And just like in business, you don't keep progressing in a linear fashion, where it's more cyclic. So we are co-creating together and contributing to the world. And pleasure in the bedroom, I think, is one of the ways we're doing that. We're doing it right now as we speak. And so coming back to the importance of inner work, the importance of doing your heart's work. It's the hardest, but it's also the most rewarding. We don't make it a secret that we take personal development courses, that we privately coach with our coach, Rayanne Woodchats. And it's powerful because when we get to explore these kind of conversations and we have help us explore that and parts of ourselves, and it's not personal. It's just like, oh, here's my shit. That's your shit. And how do we not, how do we solve our own shit and not let it collide? So that's really huge. And when drama happens, when our little inner child are trying to solve an issue, an adult issue. I'm going to say that again. Drama happens when our inner child in our relationship are trying to resolve an adult issue. We all know that that's not going to be the answer, right? And so if you're noticing there's drama in your relationship, you're not liking something, then it's time to see a coach, see a therapist, someone that who's trained to facilitate your relationship. And if your spouse isn't open, that's okay. When I was a couples therapist, oftentimes I would work with one of the spouses. Often that was a woman, but not always. That was often the wife, or girlfriend, but not always. And because I'm trained in family systems, and we believe and we see that, if one person shifts, it's unlikely that the pattern will continue because the other person has shifted. So things, often, not always, again, make progress. But again, if it depends on where they're at and what the issues are in the relationship. Okay, sometimes it does mean success means the relationship ends. So because they each come to their truth, or one person comes to truth.
I want to add something onto that. That's a great point. I think, if let's say, for instance, you did speak with the wife or the girlfriend, and then the next time that there's a bit of drama in her relationship with her boyfriend, sometimes the boyfriend or the husband can even notice that shift in the female's tone, and it can even be that noticing that, hey, this dynamic is different. This is something that's more important than just having another fight about it. There's a different dynamic happening here. So I think even that realization that there's a different approach to it, that there's a different way to handle a situation, I think is helpful in enhancing that conversation.
Yes. And, I'm simplifying things. There's other factors that could be involved, like mental health issues, more clinical issues of depression, anxiety, and that affects how you engage in a relationship. There's personality disorders, such as being narcissistic, right? Personality. And that will absolutely impact the success of a relationship. And it's really hard to be in a relationship with a narcissistic partner. So, those are definitely issues that we would encourage you to seek professional support for. Don't think that you should do this alone. We can't see outside of ourselves. You can't see the forest from the trees when you are in your own shit. And that goes for us too. This is why we have a coach. It's like, hey, and we don't go see our coach when we have a problem. And I would encourage you, don't wait till things are intensely negative. Go now and explore your relationship. That's a beautiful thing about coaching. If you're going to see a coach, it's like you're coachable, you're expanding, you're moving that next level together. Where in therapy, it can be that too. However, oftentimes it's looking at the past and looking at the current issues and trying to resolve the issues that way. So both serve and support different purposes, and both are just as valuable. Did you want to add anything to that, Lev?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just add on to that. I think in the past you've used the example of, you can go get your car fixed for an issue, but also you should do some regular maintenance on it to make sure it's working as effectively as it can. So it's the same idea with your relationship too. It's not just for fixing what's broken, it's for maintaining what's working and making it better.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I want to move into this. You are healthy. You're both healthy in mind, body, and spirit. It really does help when both of you are doing your inner work and exploring. Both of you are taking care of in your own relationship with yourself, your body. Like even right now, Dan and I are role modeling that. You're away for your own self retreats. That's why I call it, babe. In the mountain in British Columbia.
It is.
And I'm here with my family. I would definitely not call it a self-retreat. It's actually a stretch for me. It's a stretch for me. I'm stretching myself. And I set the intention, because we all know family can drive us crazy. Like I could revert easily back to being 16 years old when I'm around my parents sometimes. And I know most people are probably nodding their head like, gotcha, Roz. And I decided to challenge myself, because normally what I would do is come out for a few days and then drive back home and do my own thing. My kids can stay out here with my parents and my brother, and they can enjoy themselves. And because Dan's usually a bit of a neutralizer for me when he's on family vacations with us. I love my parents. I have a decent relationship with them. And we're not on the same consciousness. So the conversations have not been, they're a little bit surfacey. So that's something I personally struggle with, because we all know I love the deep stuff. And so I set the intention of, wait a minute, Roz, you if you can't handle like a week with your family, that's actually not a healthy thing. So let's stretch. Let's create this and set the intention for a joyful experience. Not something I'm going to enjoy. Not just that, because that doesn't even feel high vibration enough. For me, I want this to be a joyful experience. And today is Tuesday, so we've been here since Saturday. So this is day 4, and it has been joyful. I have been, and this is it, the mechanics don't matter as long as you set the beingness of it. I will set the intention of joyful. I'm going to be having a joyful time here with my family. And the conversations have been so expansive. My parents, thank goodness they're healthy as well. We've been going hiking all, I'm like, how many of us are there? I can't even count how many are in my family right now, 6 of us. And it's been incredible. Like I've been learning so much. I've been doing ancestral work with Anita Mattel, who also has an episode recently with me, and she's one of my closest friends. I've been doing ancestral work with her, guiding me, and it's been really cool listening to some of my family history stories, which my parents haven't shared some of them, and learning about who they were growing up and what happened, in their lives. It's just been expansive for me, and they've been enjoying talking about it, and I can see like they're happy to share it. So that's been really cool. Whereas in the past, it feels like there was a little bit of blocks around it. So the energy has shifted for sure. So anyways, coming back to this, it's okay to take time for yourselves. The healthiest state of a romantic relationship is being interdependent. So the opposite of that, and everything is always on spectrum, we've talked about this before in previous Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank episodes, is codependency, where it's like you aren't your own separate person, and it's like you're so affected easily by what your partner chooses to do or feels. And you can't separate your own feelings from each other. That's not healthy. And then the opposite of that is independence, where you're like roommates. You don't even know where your partner is, if they're even at home in the house, same house as you, or if they went out of the house. Like you just are doing your own thing, and you don't really have that connection with each other. I'm like, no thanks. So Dan being on his own and doing a reset, you've been going through a lot in your life right now, babe, and I'm like, yeah, go. Like this is phenomenal. And Dan choosing, I would say I've not always been this way, and most couples who think that they're interdependent actually are codependent on some spectrum. Okay, so I would say that...
Yeah, and just adding on to that,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to throw something on there. It was surprising for me when I understood what these definitions meant to know where I previously was on that spectrum for the most part of my life. I was very, codependent in a lot of ways. And obviously it takes a lot of effort and intention, but you can certainly move away from that if you make the intention to do so.
It's true. Like, I remember earlier even early in our relationship, we were only dating for a few weeks, and then you took off for 6 weeks to Australia and New Zealand.
Australia and New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I remember some part of me was like, and even when you would go away on your own camping trips, like, I know that some little girl Roz inside me was feeling rejected, like, oh, you're not inviting me, oh, like, I'm not worthy enough to come, or oh, like, I made some sort of story with that. And when Lil Roz feels rejected, Lil Roz wants to go and find something to replace that, whether that's food or like keeping myself busy with friends or like checking out other guys. So and over the years, of course, as I've been doing my inner child work, that hasn't even been a thing. It's just like, yeah, awesome. You're cheering each other on because it's no longer drama.
And I think it's very healthy for our kids to see this too, that, we can both exist independently from each other, but we are still a couple and we're still together in every other sense. But, my kids were pretty sad that I was venturing off on my own for a week and they wanted me to stay. And even though it would have been fun and enjoyable, I think, everyone getting a little bit of time away to recharge, I think is healthy for the long term. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who are just tuning in now, we have 2 boys. Everest is 9 years old and Logan is 7 years old. They are named after mountains. Logan's the highest mountain in Canada. So we love our hiking. Although we haven't hiked those, and after seeing Everest, I'm like, heck no, the movie. Not hiking Everest. Anyway, we got to go into commercial, but when we come back, we'll continue jamming about how we slay our goals and how you can too with your partner.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
If I could be you,
and you could be me for just 1 hour,
if you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind,
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Okay, let's jam on how we slay our goals and how that really does tie into prioritizing each other every day and helping you feel more grateful to have your partner and how you support each other in your individual pursuits. Do you see how I tied in some of those points? And really, it does all integrate. It all does relate with each of these 13 characteristics, all do integrate with each other. It's really important. So we should talk about our vision board. Hey, babe?
Exactly, yeah. And I also want to throw in that I did make point number 14 on there. It's that I have Rosalyn as my favorite on my Facebook feed. I think, and it's a funny little thing to say, but honestly, it's vital to me in my relationship with her to know what's going on in her world, in her business, and her friendship, her friendships that she has. I think it's important to be so engaged in your primary relationship.
Oh, that's so cute, babe. I actually didn't know that. I don't think I have you as my favorite.
Interesting. How what's the analysis of this?
I always
that
see your
being said,
anyways.
I post about
so
10% as much as you do. So
yeah. And we're always, I think, most importantly, your relationship is all social and it's in real life. So that's what we communicate in real life every day. Actually, that is maybe why we start there. How do we connect every day? Because we have our roles as parents, which are separate than as lovers, obviously, and maybe not so obvious in many people. People forget that. Oh yeah, we don't always have to be in the role of parents. Like, let's see each other. Let's literally see your partner. Outside of your role, all your roles, as both of us are busy entrepreneurs and we have lots of friends, and it's just like we can forget easily about dating each other. And that's something that's really important, and connecting. So our usual
being a mom or a dad. Sorry, I just want to mention being a mom or a dad is a definition of who we are, but it is not the definition of who we are.
That's right. Yeah, these are just titles and roles. So we love to connect regularly in the shower after our kids go to bed. That's where we connect, and that's where we for me, the shower is a cleansing place, or maybe even the bathtub. Right? We hang out in the bathtub and we just kind of check in with each other. I mean, we might do other stuff, not safe for work stuff to talk about, but but we really do connect, like heart to heart, checking in with each other, genuinely taking interest. How was your day? Not just good, but like, what really happened in your day? What are some of your wins? What are some of our frustrations? What went well today? What sucks about today? Like, we talk about all the things, and it keeps us updated to where we're each at in this moment. And I think that's really important. We also have a vision board. It's a chalkboard wall in our bedroom. And we have separated it out to all the different life areas. And so it's something that we can look at every single day we don't do it with each other, to be honest. I do look at the vision board every morning even though I know my goals, it's nice to just have it at the forefront. I'm very visual, so to see it and then to breathe it in is really important. It's like, yes, those are my goals this morning.
Yeah, and to get realigned to it, I think is important. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then would you want to speak a little bit in our individual pursuits?
Sure, like for the different life goals, you mean?
Going to we don't have to be specific about our different goals, but how do we support each other?
Well, so I think even having that goal board up helps me understand where Roz is driven and where she's pushing her energy towards. We all have our own histories and our own backgrounds, and if Roz tells me that she wants to spend some money on coaching, And, you know, I grew up in a family where my mom and dad said, don't spend money on anything unless it's, you know, like the essentials of life. I have to check in with myself and say, well, so what's this drive here? And is this creating a bigger good for us? And is it supportive of my values and not my parents' values, right? So when I see Roz's goals on there, and it triggers me to ask some questions, right? And trigger in a good way, you know, not I'm not triggered, but the trigger in a way that I'm curious, right? I'm coming from a place of curiosity. And that's what sparked some great conversations between us, is just truly understanding what goals are lining up for her at that moment in time.
And I like to emphasize that, and this is a quality of really good leaders in general, is that we self-reflect. And that's what you mean by it triggers you. You're activated to self-reflect on your self-reflects first and go, okay, these are Roz's goals. How am I staying with that? Like, what comes up for me when I see those goals, and how can I support her? Like, if there's something blocking you from supporting me, you're clear that where that comes from. And then we are able to have discussions about that. I think having that higher self-awareness. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not only lining up with your own personal goals, but lining up with your spouse. So you're, you know, both pushing in the same direction. So vital to be on the same page, right? Just so you're pursuing the same goal. Well, not the same goals, but you're in the same energy together.
Yes, correct. Because we don't have the same goals. We actually have very different goals. And this often comes up. And Dan and I actually did a whole Facebook Live on this, which I believe it's on my blog now, which the question is, what happens when one partner is more into personal development or even more spiritual than the other partner? How do you guys deal with that? And we actually had a whole episode. I think it was like at least 30, 40 minutes long. We didn't expect it to be that long, but we had so much to say about that because if you can't tell already, I'm the one that's way more woo than Dan. And so, you know, our goals are different in that aspect. Our values are different in that aspect. And what would you like to say about that, hun? I mean, again, we won't dive in for the sake of time, but also you guys can check out my blog on rosalynfung.com for this.
Yeah, and, you know, just because we don't have the exact same goals or we don't even have the same kind of philosophies, like Roz is more woo, I'm definitely more the logical, the grounded aspect. However, we can still be in alignment, in the same energy, and be supportive of each other. And just because, you know, your partner pursues something that you think is not logical, that doesn't mean you should not be supportive of them in what they find is authentic to who they are. I think and I think the reward is to see your partner living their true self. You know, getting joy from your partner's joy, it's huge, and it's so rewarding.
Yes. One thing you do, and you've mentioned it in our episode, when we did this Facebook Live, was like, even if it's not your interest, take interest in being curious and being engaged with your spouse to understand, like, what is it about this and not from a defensive place, but from an open, curious, inviting place. Like, tell me more about this. Like, even if it's not your priority, that you are staying interested, because that allows. I'll just speak from my first person, from my perspective. Like, when you take interest in what I share about, you know, some of the quote unquote miracles and the synchronicities and all the things that have happened that day or that week, I love it. It makes me feel affirmed, and I feel like you hear me.
People want to be heard.
Me. Yeah, everybody does, right? So at the end of the day, we all want to feel heard.
Pretend you're on a first date with someone, and, you know, people love to talk about themselves. And if you're on a first date with someone, you know, keep on asking more questions, and people just like, oh my God, this person is really into me, you know? So why does it have to stop just because you're 19 years into a relationship? It should never stop.
Yes. Yes, that's a great tip, honey. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, right? Like
Dating tips from Dan. There we go.
You could start your own podcast. When we stop taking interest, we stop asking questions, and we start to distance ourselves from our spouses. I mean, we see this all the time. That might be what's happening in your relationship right now. And the good news is you can shift that dynamic. You can start to take interest because then we feel acknowledged, we feel heard, even if we don't understand it. I don't understand everything that Dan does, and I still take interest. I may not be interested in everything that he does for me personally, but I love that he gets so much joy out of it, and that's what matters. Is there anything else you want to touch on, babe, before we move into a meditation?
We've covered a lot. I think the main thing is just show engagement with your spouse, be engaged in their life, and it goes much further than words could ever go when you share that same energy. And I think that's where Roz and I really bond together.
Yes,
we just have this passion, this vitality. It's amazing. Love you for making everyone.
I love you so much too.
With being a little gooey here, but so be it. It's authentic.
So be it. That's right. That wasn't even that gooey, babe.
I'm toning it down a bit. But.
All right, my love. So we hope that you have taken inspiration. You have tuned into the energy of Dan and I, and just how we co-create together energetically and even practically. We do have a money workshop course that we have created. Goodness, when was that? Earlier this year, 2021. And you can find that course soon. It's not on there right now as we speak, but on my website, or you can find my blog as well. In that episode Dan and I were talking about where we did a Facebook Live, on my blog at my website, rosalynfung.com. Okay, so stay tuned, my loves. So let's shift into a space where I'm just going to invite you to reflect on the piece, the part, the aspect of this conversation that really is standing out for you the most right now. And as you reflect on that, just breathing in and then breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And the aspects that may have spoke to you the most is an idea of how to move forward in your relationship. Maybe it starts with yourself. Actually, it always starts with yourself. And then it bleeds into your relationship with your partner. So just invite you to place a hand on your heart. And feel into, let's start with gratitude for you for tuning into this episode. For receiving what you need to receive. Just breathing in what felt good to hear, breathing in what you needed to hear. Maybe it didn't feel good, but you know you needed to hear it. Your triggers are your medicine. Lean into them. Lean into them. Breathing in, and then notice what that next step looks like for you. Whether it's doing some self-reflection and journaling, maybe talking to a coach or a therapist, by yourself or as a couple. Reading a book. That will help you move forward in your relationship with yourself and with your partner. So as you're getting that clarity, I'm going to just seal this in with a light language transmission to help you drop into taking inspired action. Morokia, morokoratia, nanakoratia. Morokua, morokoratia, morakia, nanakoratia, mananakua. Morakia, meneneki, koratia, rakaratua, menenekia, morokoratia, nenenekia, morokoratia. Morakora kia marakaratia marakia koratia kira tukia marakaratia. Breathing in and out. So just staying with the sensations. Breathing in what feels good, deepening, and just letting go of anything that doesn't serve or support. May you feel inspired. May you take inspired action to be in the healthiest, highest calibration in your relationship with yourself, and thus your relationship with your partner and your future partner. Thank you, my love, for being here. I love you so much. And as always, this was so much fun.
You.
Enjoy the rest of your time at the beach.
I will.